we have anybody
Yes, I thought I had.
logging in?
I thought I had one that was.
I don't.
There we go.
Okay. You can hit, got it, I think, and then we can go.
Yeah, I need new batteries, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I do. All right, well, I'm good. We're recording, so I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order and welcome you all. Consistent with the Town of Bethel Charter, we start every meeting as a requirement. Every governmental meeting begins with the pledge. All right.
Well, I'm gonna turn this off.
Yeah, maybe that, it might be the mouse. Anyway, this is, as you saw in the original material I sent out, we're going to be dovetailing with Sustainable CT, which is a statewide program that is in its 7th or 8th year. We did pass the resolution several years ago, like I said, about 5 years or so ago, to join that. I had originally put together a committee that was comprised mostly of department heads internally. Because, and here's another reason why I want to thank you so much for volunteering. There is a fair amount of administrative work that goes along with this. And it's not the kind of a position where you're just going to show up once a month and have a meeting. You can make a big difference in the town's posture and how we do a lot of things, both with renewable energy, with recycling, composting, even social equity issues, if you want to delve into those things. I'm sure you've had a chance to look over some of the Sustainable CT guide, and there's many ways that we can help with the environment and help help make a positive impact. So we're really the embodiment of think globally, act locally. So I really want to thank you for joining us tonight. I know everybody above a certain age, like that age being about 22, hates this part of it, but I'm going to start at that end and just ask everybody to introduce themselves. Just make it sound like a sales meeting, like my previous career.
No problem. Diana Brady. I'm a licensed real estate broker in Connecticut, New York. I've been in Bethel since '99. Born and raised in North Salem. So I have a lot of recycling and composting experience. Because we have, gardens. There's nothing but horse farms in North Salem. So we learned how to do a lot with all that stuff. But Matt and I are on in a networking group, and when I first heard about this, I just reached out to Matt because I really wanted to be a part of it. I think it's very important, and I think it's important that we educate the generations that are coming up behind us. Happy to be here.
Hi, Steve Ippolito. Grew up here in Bethel, left, came back 2011, so I've been here about 11 years now. Wife, 2 kids, a GM for an enterprise software company based out of Lehigh, Utah. I was on the Energy Committee previously, and I'm also on the Zoning Board of Appeals here in town, so looking forward to working with you.
I guarantee you this is going to be more fun than zoning board of appeals.
Yes.
Nobody's happy when they come in. So yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Arconti. Been here since February of 2020. I grew up in town over in Danbury. I live here now with my wife and kid on the way, our first one. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. For work, I'm a product manager at Liberty Bank. They're based out of Middletown, Connecticut. And for fun, I make homemade wine.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
That could come in handy.
Yep.
I'm Peter Schwartz. I think I already gave some of my background. I'm a Bethelite, but not a Bethelite. 40 years in Manhattan. I was in fundraising, public relations, and then I practiced law for about 20 years. I'm a member of the Connecticut and New York bar, but mainly in New York. I did corporate contractual work, little litigation and so forth. Never really committed to anything. And for work now, I don't. I'm retired and old and getting older every day. I've got some ideas here for where I think this commission could do a lot of good that I sent to your office. But I'm open to completely different points of view as to what the commission's role should be and objectives should be.
Great.
I'm Tori Cornish. I have lived in town since 2015. I'm originally from Southbury, so I always came here. We talked about going to the Sycamore and stuff. So growing up, lived in Manhattan for about 20 years and relocated back here. I worked and still do in the luxury resale industry for many, many years. Currently, I am a personal, like an office manager for a crypto family, #1 private equity family in the US. So I have a lot of very interesting things that I'm involved in, which is very strange. But coming out of luxury retail and the sustainability of reusing and recycling and the next generation being really concerned about that and reusable goods is really important to me. And also really helping like the town. I personally have experienced, some things living in the town and think that we can really bring something to the table with this. Helping little kids realize what they can do with their own town. And like you said, it's local, it's global, but it's also local. So I think that's a really nice motto. And, I'm happy to be here and I want to help.
Great, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Heber, and we've lived in Bethel since 1994. However, I was working for the city of Norwalk for 33 years, and they offered this awesome retirement package during COVID. And I was the director of transportation, mobility, and parking under economic development and sustainability. And we had basically 2 weeks to make a decision. And my husband and I looked at this and he said, just take the money and run. You are never going to see this as long as you live. So I immediately created my own business called TPM Connect, still involved in the transportation, parking, and mobility industry, but more on a partnership basis. I pick and choose the projects that I want to work on. I also, one of my partners is Juice Bar, Connect, who are they're EV charging companies. I work with Harvard. I've been working with the city of Worcester. And when I was at the city of Norwalk, most of what I did was a lot of public engagement and outreach and engaging people with a whole bunch of initiatives related to economic development, sustainability, parking, mobility. So I feel when this came about, I'm like, I definitely want to get involved. And since I wasn't able, since I've been here, to be involved with the town that I've been since 1994. My daughter went through the entire school system and she just graduated college. So that's a real big deal. So now I have time and I'm available and I have a lot of flexibility, being that I don't have that full-time job where I was there like 15 hours a day. So I'm really happy to be here.
Great, thank you very much. Bill, you probably, everybody knows you, but go ahead.
No, I'm Bill Brady. I've been in Bethel since 1975. I'm an engineering graduate at the United States Merchant Academy, and I have been in the energy business since October 1964 in the oil and gas electric side, and I'm currently working for a company that is involved with ISO New England, which is the entity that manages the power grid for the reliability power grid for all of New England. And we're working on all kinds of things, how to conserve power, how to make green power, this type of thing. I'll be retiring from this company after I'll be 81 on the end of this month, retire next month. But I'll be starting up with another company, another startup company, plus continue to consult with the company I had. But I was the chairman of the Housing Authority for Town of Bethel for 15 years. I was involved in building half the housing at Bridge. I was been in the Energy Committee now for about 10 years, I guess it is. 11 years. And we created a plan when we started the Energy Committee. Plan for the town of Bethel was sort of had a three-legged stool. One was energy efficiency. We did complete energy efficiency renovations of all of the town buildings, LED lighting, efficient motors, variable speed drives, installation, this type of thing, to the extent that we could pay for it all out of the savings. We also covered the the abandoned landfill with the solar farm, that will make a lot of solar power there. We just completed installing solar on top of Johnson School, Rockwell School, and the new track and field building. And so those were the two of the legs, the energy efficiency and the solar project. The third leg is to put a microgrid, put the school park on a microgrid. We have the schools, we have the police station, and rental bridge and housing, elderly housing is there. And that is very important that we keep all of that infrastructure up when we have storms and whatever that comes to take the power down. The schools have the ability to handle virtually the whole town with the kitchens, the food, the food service, the housing, this kind of thing. And we want to make that independent, add more solar there and some other types of generation. And that's one project which the Energy Committee, we're disappearing as you become a commission, we are disappearing. And we want to fold that initiative into the commission to handle, to start that and get going. Another project which we have and we're going right now is we're working with PACE, which is a clean air and environmental entity within the state of Connecticut, in what's called the Heatsmart Program. And I've got some literature on that I can pass around for you. And this is to try to get look to reduce greenhouse gases by getting people to convert from oil and gas fired to heat pump sources, as well as perform energy efficiency. And there's a lot of subsidies and incentives that are available for that. And so what we also want is we need some help from the commission to get involved in this. We're just starting up. We've got a $10,000 grant from Eversource to start, to get this program going. We're just starting. We've had 3 sessions with the library where we've had some people in to hear the story, and we're going to be wanting to have events or desks or tables at events, outside events like town events, where we can solicit people to come and join this initiative and take advantage of what is there. So we want to help the state of Connecticut and the town of Bethel continue to reduce its natural gas or its greenhouse gas footprint. So that has been our initiative in focusing on energy efficiency, sustainability in terms of reliability of important services like police and fire, and make a place for the buildings, for people when it's extra hot, and have cooling centers and these kinds of things like any of the school park. So that's what we're hoping that this commission can pick up and be some programs that are up and started, and you can take them and really make them happen. And so that's what.
So I know one of your goals tonight is to attract a volunteer to help out with Heatsmart, right?
Yes. One of them is to get a volunteer to help out with Heatsmart.
Bill, ask you a question. The Heatsmart program, is that focused on commercial or residential?
It's basically on residential. Heatsmart, although commercial can do it.
Yeah. It will pass the whole file. Okay, perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
There is
No, you're fine.
some initiative there. I don't
Thank
know
you.
how many of you are familiar with Smith College up in Massachusetts.
Very familiar. My aunt went there.
Oh, great. Smith has just announced that they're going to be doing
Northampton.
thermal plant with a ground source, geothermal
Very good.
source. So that's from.
Very good.
Commercial, but this program can also be suited for small commercial, not large, but for small commercial. So it's something that what we would like you folks to jump on and become active. We need some active support.
I must say, Bill, I was a little surprised when Matt introduces oil and gas, I have a kind of an image in my head of somebody who says, let's drill in Bethel. And you're just the opposite. You're looking for the future and ways that you can benefit society, the environment, and so many other things. So I think it's very commendable.
Yeah, and that's the objective, is to get as much support as we can. The Chamber of Commerce is officially a partner within this program. You sign up for Heatsmart, the first step of Heatsmart, you get and go through the process energy efficiency. You get a $25 gift certificate from one of the Bethel Chamber of Commerce members. So it's, getting them involved. We need somebody to help begin to help us get some activity.
How many homeowners have signed up for that evaluation so far?
We've got, I think it's around 40 or 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
they're
not
going.
bad.
Yeah, we have, Bethel is low, on the low end of the totem pole in the state of Connecticut municipalities who are getting their citizens into energy efficiency and taking advantage of Eversource and programs that would come out. They'll come out and do for a modest fee, I think it's $50, they'll come out, do an evaluation in your house and put ceiling and test it and make building envelope improvements. If you below a certain income level, it's free. And they identify other types of measures. For example, if you have a real old refrigerator, you can get an incentive which essentially pays for half the cost of with a new upgraded, more efficient refrigerator. There's a lot of benefits that people can take advantage of. You just gotta get people out and do it.
Interesting though, because that's been around for a long time.
Why not?
I mean, when I moved into my first home, which was the 1900 Victorian, needed all the help we could get. And that was, we had a company come in and for $75, they came in to do an energy efficiency on the house. And that was back in 2001. So I agree, it's good to get the word out, that more people are aware of it. But my question about, the heat pumps, it's in a nutshell, if someone said, I have no idea what a heat pump is, how do I take my house off of oil and propane? How do they do that?
Well, there's different steps in the program. Go through the energy efficiency. Then you have available to you a consultant free of charge from the nonprofit entity that will advise you, talk to you about the different things, help you, different heat pump companies, and we don't represent any particular heat pump company, but we do have a solar air source heat pump and a ground source heat pump company, two companies that are involved. They can give you training, give you information, this kind of thing. We've had one of the library sessions covered both those, what it was all about, this type of thing.
Was it attended well?
No, we've had mailing, but
Yeah.
that effective. We need other ways. I tried to get us to have a table out here in the carnival, but they said there was no room.
Well, I was just going to say Food Truck Friday would be
Yeah,
a
Food Truck
wonderful
Friday.
opportunity for you to get a table set up.
Yeah.
And I think I could swing it for you.
What's that?
Yeah.
She's the queen of Food Truck Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first and third.
I'm a
So,
retired guy. in
we
Boone.
can, once we figure out how to man it and everything, we can figure that out.
No, that would be
And
great.
it's
That would
really
be
fun.
great.
Everyone hangs out on the lawn.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think I'm
All right.
just out of time.
Before we introduce two more members, but I just want to tell you, when I was first elected, which I took office in December of '09, and in 2010, I had a goal of setting up an energy committee. And the number one goal was to set up a solar farm, because we had this decommissioned landfill, and you can't do anything with those things for 20 years. You can't touch them. After 20 years, as long as you don't pierce the cap, you can do other things with that land. I thought that would be, this was like at the very beginning when Connecticut first passed its virtual net metering law, which makes it possible to set up a solar farm. You could always put solar on a building and feed the building, but what the virtual net metering law did back in 2010 was it made it possible to set up a farm, like a big farm, feed it into the grid, basically become a generator, and then take a credit against that energy that you sell for the town budget to lower the, so it was kind of a win-win because it lowered the town's electrical bill that we pay through our taxes, and it also decreased carbon. And it removes, that farm today removes about 900 metric tons per year of carbon that is not spewed into the atmosphere. I've got an equivalency chart too. I'll send that to you. But make a long story short, with his background, Bill said, well, I can help out with that. So we figured it would be a 1 to 2 year process to set up a solar farm. That turned into 6 years because there were flaws in the virtual net metering bill that allowed the energy company, the big electrical distributors, to limit the availability of solar, which was not what the legislature intended. So we had to go back to the legislature in the next session, get them to adjust the law. Nobody was happy with how basically the lobbyists kind of torpedoed the virtual net metering law, made it very, very difficult. Really what they did was they blocked municipalities from participating at all. And they said, if you're a homeowner, you can participate. We don't want any big generators like municipalities. So the legislature fixed that, but then the lobbyists got a cap put on and said, all right, we'll only allow 4 or 5 towns per year to join this. And at that year, we were one of 11 towns that had applications pending. So we hooted and howled and stamped our feet, and the legislature fixed it. And so after 6 years, we got our solar farm in, and I've not allowed Bill to actually retire or otherwise quit and do anything else with his time. In fact, if you look at the town website, look under the town clerk's area, there's boards and commissions. His just says lifetime appointment. So
you're talking where the transfer station is, that field.
Yes. Yeah, you can't see it from when you pull in because it goes down the hill,
right.
But I've got some good aerial shots of it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what he says about the lobbyists, I was appointed by with Joe when Roland was governor, Jody Rao was.
Yes, I remember.
Was lieutenant governor, and I know Jody because she's from this area and everything, and she, the state has a state energy committee, and there's I think 10 people on it. Half of them are utility company, and then the governor could appoint one, and somebody else appoint one. And I got appointed to the thing, and I learned that in Connecticut, Eversource had 35 lobbyists plowing the halls of the state legislature. 35. That's the what they do is try. So you begin to understand why we get some of this mess that we get or pushback.
Sunny Milcani, if you'd like to just introduce yourself.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks. Good to see you again. Hi, I'm Sunita Malkani, I also go by Sunny. I've been on the energy committee since 2017. Been a Bethel resident since 2004. Sorry about being late. My kids' art show, the last one in school, it's still going on. I had to drop it there, come back here. So I've been on the energy committee since 2017. With Bill, we ran a solarized Bethel program back in 2017. We got about 30 plus homes actually solarized in the town. And on a per capita basis, for Connecticut, this was one of the highest conversions. The other towns had more. And I've been working with Bill for a long time, but since this past September, life got really, really busy for me personally. And so I've had to take a step back. At Matt request, I kind of rejoined the group. My heart is here. It's just that I've had to step back for a little bit. And I promised Matt that come September, when I'm going to be officially an empty nester, I will throw my complete weight behind the committee. In the meantime, I will keep popping in as possible. And nice to meet you all. I'll get to know you individually hopefully soon.
Great, thanks. And then finally, we have Peter. Peter, are you on?
I am here. Greetings from the Great Smoky Mountains.
Oh, well, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, no, what happened is I got caught right on the time zone outside of Knoxville, and it said 6:24. I'm like, oh, okay, great. All of a sudden it flipped to 7:24. So anyway, so I'm Peter Schenkman. I'm in zero emissions transportation, representing multiple companies. I'm actually hauling a cargo bike back from Amazon's global event. And I managed to snap some pictures on Friday in front of the municipal center that I will share with you, Matt, and the crew. Otherwise, been involved with the Energy Conservation Committee for, I think, as long as Sunny has. It seems to be forever. And looking forward to meeting everyone face to face and making Bethel more sustainable. And for me, that means getting rid of diesel buses, electrifying the fleet, and a few other nice things.
Cool. All right, thanks, Peter. Any questions so far? All right, well, moving on to item number 3. By the way, I should have explained to you, does anybody have experience with Robert's rules and like formal meetings? Yeah, you probably did in Norwalk, right? So the way this works is because I'm first selectman with a new commission, I open it and then we'll go through a couple of agenda items and then you get to elect your own officers, and whoever would like to be chair can volunteer and will be elected to do so. And then once the election of officers is completed, then I will turn the rest of the meeting over to your chairman. So we are at item number 3, which is consideration of officers. So I would like to open the floor and see if we have anybody who would like to volunteer to be chair.
I'll volunteer to be chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any others? All right, well, hearing none, then in my role, actually, I'm an ex officio, so I can't make a motion. Somebody would, if somebody would care to make a motion to,
Motion to recognize
I'll
Catherine
second.
as chair.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, yes, that runs in your family. By the way, if the name sounds familiar, they've run Danbury on and off for about a century. Okay, so is there any discussion? No discussion. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there are no opposed. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Catherine. Appreciate it. Congratulations. So if you would like to take over, the next would be election of a vice chair.
Okay, is there anybody that would like to volunteer as vice chairperson?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
My cohort over here. Okay, so the next one is secretary, I assume, right?
Yes, correct.
So is there anybody that would like to volunteer as secretary?
I can do secretary.
Diana? Do I hear a motion? Okay, you want to volunteer? Do I hear a motion?
A motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. So you have an executive committee.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much to all 3 of you for volunteering. I appreciate that. So then I will, then the last 2 items are yours, Madam Chair.
So we need to kind of decide the meetings, the way you're looking at it. Now, do you like to be called first selectman? Or do you like to be called Matt? Or what do you like? Matt. Okay. I just want to make sure I have that right for the record.
Yeah, I don't stand on ceremony very often.
Okay. Good. Okay, so I assume that it's once a month for the regular meetings that we would be meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, so
I did want to bring one thing up.
sure.
Time.
Right.
Is 7 something in stone?
No,
It's a
No,
little
that's what we
late for
have,
us.
that's what we
uh,
have to
older
decide.
folks.
no, you can, your board can, you can.
I was thinking just, that I realize we have working people here. I was thinking that just for your families and so forth, 6 might be a better. But I'll come, it's just,
But let's talk about it, because we
Yeah.
live in a world now that we have this hybrid ability.
yeah,
So if you happen to be, because sometimes I
I'm not a
do,
hybrid guy.
that's
but
fine,
just
no,
me.
I get that, but for some
Yeah.
of us, maybe if you're traveling
Yeah.
or if you're doing something, or even
Sure.
if you're on vacation, you can
Sure.
use this little device and you can still participate.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything, so anybody else? Well,
6 is like dinner for the kids.
6 is,
Pet menagerie.
okay, 6
And
doesn't,
work,
and it's also work.
right,
yeah. 6 is tough for me personally.
6 is,
Me
I
too.
agree. Yeah, 6 is tough.
So obviously, people want to go later, not earlier.
yeah, so in my own experience working for a municipality, typically that was the comment of having earlier meetings because of work and kids and getting home and commuting and stuff like that. So
Okay,
7 seems to be a typical time in the municipal world.
I yield to the mic.
To the majority. Okay, so we have 7 o'clock, so that's great. So now we have to decide what works for people related to, let me look here.
So can I just
Oh,
give y'all a
please.
little bit of information?
Absolutely.
So the first selectmen meet the first and third Tuesdays of the month. The Board of Finance meets the second Tuesdays of the month,
Wait, first and third is first selectman, okay. And finance is. when?
Finance is second Tuesday of the month. Tuesdays, I really wouldn't recommend Tuesday nights. Even if we try to have a special meeting, we'll end up trying to do it on a Tuesday night, just because that's, the Fire Commission meets on the third, well, they're meeting quarterly, but that's going to change, and they meet on the third Wednesday of the month.
Mhm.
I know they want to meet more regular than that. So the third Wednesday of the month is Fire Commission. What else do we have in here?
Do planning and zoning or zoning?
Well,
or
I
whatever?
don't,
No,
I don't do planning and zoning, and planning and zoning meets down in meeting room D, so I'm trying to just like
Just what
tell
you're
you what's
involved
going to be
Yeah.
happening.
What
in
What
this-
about
Thursday?
just
Thursdays.
doing the former Energy Commission time, first
What?
Thursday of the month?
Yeah,
That would, and that
That would make
first
sense.
Thursdays would work.
Sure, I mean, that's fine. Everyone
Is that
else?
Everybody?
Are you good with that, all of you?
mhm.
Yep.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to vote on the time and the day? So it would be the first Thursday of every month at 7 PM here in this meeting room?
Yeah.
Okay.
meeting room A.
And then we would also have the ability to zoom in, right?
Correct.
When would the first meeting be?
Right.
The first Thursday it would be 2 weeks from tonight. That would be Thursday, June 2nd.
My 60th reunion in New York. So I'll wish you all
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And I haven't gone to a reunion in 40 years.
Oh, then you need to.
So
come.
this is kind of like, we're all thinking, this may be the ballgame.
I've got 50 coming up this summer, so I.
You don't look it.
Why, thank you.
Motion to approve the date and time for the first Thursday of the month at 7 PM.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second.
All in Favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then the first
Aye.
meeting will be June 2nd. Okay, so my question is, how does the agendas work with this commission?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you and I will do a
Okay.
lot of communicating.
Yep,
If the board wants to bring agenda items up, I mean, a lot of this is going to be discussed in meetings. And then, if it needs to become an agenda item on the next, for the next meeting, but then you will, present an agenda to me.
great.
I will put it together, let you
Okay.
finalize it, and then it will go out to the board.
Okay, so, oh wait, then the next thing is under responsibilities. I have a couple of questions about, process and stuff like that. So I understand, okay. go ahead.
Oh, good, I don't have to do the agenda?
No,
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 no, basically what Dion is gonna be your staff contact, and she's going to be the recording secretary, which means the position of secretary is, if there are any official resolutions or something
Right.
that this board votes on, you sign off on those as secretary.
Okay.
So,
You don't want me to
That's-
take notes?
what's that?
no.
No.
Easy peasy.
A couple other pointers. So now that you've established a regular meeting schedule,
Right.
that will have to be posted in the town clerk's office. Dion will prepare that
okay, that
and
was one
send
of
it
my
to the town
questions.
clerk along
Yep.
with the minutes of this meeting. And then hopefully by your next meeting, if not then right after, we should have an official liaison from Sustainable CT.
Oh, awesome.
They have, basically mission champions, they call them. And the one who was covering Western Connecticut moved on to another, made a different career choice. So they said they should have somebody on board by June. So we'll see about that. But that will be, I'm sure person will be a great help in
Absolutely.
guiding.
And so if it's not for June, it would be for July. And then can we arrange for them to come to the
Yes.
meeting and introduce and see how we can work together and get things done?
Hopefully
Okay.
that individual will be able to come to, if not all your meetings,
that'd be
most
great.
of them. Yeah,
That'd be great.
that's the point. That's what.
So we're
doing.
going in the right direction.
Correct,
Right,
yes.
right,
And we
okay.
would be safe in July too, because the first Thursday is actually the 7th. I was just
Yes.
worried it might be around the 4th, but
Yeah, I just checked it too. I was thinking the same thing, but we're good, yeah.
So,
And so I'll put a calendar
oh,
together.
that,
for
yeah, I was gonna
everybody.
ask you about that. too.
No, so tomorrow,
Okay.
when I prepare the minutes, and I will also prepare a regular meeting schedule. I'll file that with the town clerk, and then I'll email it out to everybody so that you have the dates, and they'll run through January of 23. So that in November, December of 22, we will go ahead and we'll establish what our regular meeting schedule will be for the next year. So I'm here to help you administratively. So as far as the minutes, as far as like, any interaction that needs to be done as far as like liaison or anything between you and the town, I'm here to help you. And it seems like there is like Matt had mentioned earlier, there is a lot of paperwork that goes along with this commission. And
I didn't tell you that on the front end.
yeah, well, and I think that we're so excited to have this commission here and have y'all ready to dig in and to do the work. And let me offer my services to you to take the administrative side off of it so that y'all can focus on what you should be focusing on. And we'll get it figured out.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you.
You will notice as you start to go through the list of subject areas in sustainable CT, you'll see a lot of stuff we've already done. And to get those points and to be recognized for it, it's just a matter of doing the paperwork and doing a report on it, like the solar farm, the solar on top of the school buildings, the energy management system. So we're already ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff. So-
Yeah, I would like to serve as a volunteer consultant on energy. Because that's, a very important piece of it. and I have
So I
like
assume when we're putting that paperwork together, I'm just remembering because I was part of the process in Norwalk that you have all that paperwork, we just pull it together and then submit. Yeah, okay.
So this is Groundhog Day for you, right?
Well, in a different way, it's actually, I'm pretty excited about it. I was involved peripherally on the staff side.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. So now I'm on this side, which is really cool.
good. Great.
Okay, so I'm not sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, go ahead, no,
But
please.
I do want to let you know, one of the first things it looks like you're going to need to do is to create a resolution. There's actually a template on the back. I can go ahead and create this one just and take a look at it if there's changes that you want to make, if you want this to look different. then we will discuss it it'll be an agenda item for the next meeting. And then we will go ahead and we'll have a resolution.
Look different related to content. Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about?
yes,
Right,
I'm
not
sorry,
look
yes.
different
No,
related to
no,
resolution.
the
Yeah,
content
right,
of
the
it.
content, okay.
I mean,
Okay, so
the template seems to cover everything,
Yep.
but if you as a commission want to change the content in any way, we can discuss
Is
that.
that something that you need to have from the commission before the next meeting, or just as a discussion?
No, we
to
will
approve?
We'll discuss
Okay.
it, and we'll make considerations, approve it, and then I will have I'll do the final afterwards.
Yeah, it can be done after this meeting, but, so you will adopt that, and then the board of selectmen will also adopt what you send. And that tells the state that we're serious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lower the carbon footprint.
Question?
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that there was a resolution for this that was passed about 5 years ago.
Yeah,
So are we taking that resolution that you did and modifying it?
no, we're gonna use the newer boilerplate that came out, and you may read through it and decide not to modify it. You just, drop in the name, Sustainable Bethel, and where it goes in, and drop in the dates and locations. If you wanted to add something to it or change it in some way, you can discuss that. It's probably okay the way it is. I haven't read it in any detail.
I think it probably.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm a little confused. The word sustainability can mean a lot of things.
Yeah,
Now, certainly when I think of sustainability, one of the things I think of is energy.
yes.
But that's only one view of the word sustainability. My impression was that we want to look at the town overall as to be a more attractive town to live in and a better town to live in.
Yes.
And that, even though I didn't attend the schools, certainly involves the schools, which I think is the heart of any town.
Yes.
It involves something that Bethel was not involved in until recent administrations, and that's land conservation, which has been shown to make a town much more desirable. And it involves the Bethel being an economic hub as opposed to Reading, which relies on Bethel, and part of Newtown who relies on Bethel. Seeing what we can do for every single business in Bethel that are competing with things like the big box stores and have to, we saw what happened during COVID. We have a responsibility to them. So I look at it as a big picture thing,
It is, yes.
even though energy is certainly very worthy. So I just want to know
Only a part.
that my philosophy, although I'm open to everybody's input, is a broader picture of life in Bethel. The end product being that more people want to come and live in Bethel and not just visit.
You're 100% correct. That is how I think of it.
Okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to,
That's how I
we-
think of it.
we've discussed so much about energy, which
Right.
I'm very much in favor of what Bill's doing.
Well,
But to
there's
me,
there's some exciting stuff going on already. There's I can't remember the young woman's name. There is a senior at Bethel High School who some months ago created a recycling task force. And she created with other high school students and members of the Bethel ROTC, Navy ROTC, created a curriculum, and now they're taking this educational curriculum on effective recycling and going to Berry and Johnson and
wow.
Rockwell schools. So there's an opportunity for this group to kind of mentor more of the high school kids and get them involved in some of this too.
yeah, which is wonderful, but I'm thinking something more about the schools, the schools have improved dramatically over the years. Even before you were here, Matt, the knock on Bethel always was the school, whether they deserved it or not. Remember, you were competing with Reading, Richfield, Newtown, and so forth. And that was tough competition. And in terms of things like college placement, Bethel was not considered the equal. Now Bethel's come up a lot, but I think this commission has to think about how we can continue for it to come up. And that's not just the academics, that's extracurricular projects that,
Oh, yeah.
so that students can achieve something besides just the economics.
Mhm.
And I also think if it's within our purview, and I don't know that it is, pre-K, not necessarily state-sponsored pre-K, but pre-K input, such as what the library does, is extremely important. We have a whole generation of people who fall behind because they can't afford the pre-K that some other, when I lived in Manhattan, pre-K there was more competition for pre-K than there was for college. And because that's what starts a kid off on a road to success. So that's something I would love to see this commission at least address, what we could do to help the really young kids.
So I'm really glad, Peter, that you brought all this up because that is my philosophy,
Good.
is looking at this globally. And what you're talking about, the schools are a really big component of public engagement and outreach.
Yes.
So part of what we're doing is we need to get the word out. I mean, we obviously can't, we don't want to, I mean, we could, but we don't want to make policy recommendations without that public engagement component
Yes,
and that outreach. So the schools are part of that.
I'm glad to
So-
hear that.
So
I-
that,
you know,
yeah, so I'm all in with that.
I'm open to
Yeah,
everybody
and that
else's
was-
idea.
That, yeah. so-
You know, and a little bit of history. The reason Reynolds Ridge, elderly housing is where it is by the school park is because that decision was made, but that it would be good for the young and the elderly to be able to intermingle.
Mhm.
And, you know, and they do, and that's why it was finally selected to put Reynolds Ridge be part of the school park.
So the other part that I always think about, and then I want to open it up to other people, because otherwise I think Peter and I could talk forever. Is,
I was an attorney. I can be somewhat.
oh,
long-winded.
my dad was
I'm
one, so I know.
apologizing in advance, and maybe this is what you should do at some point.
Okay, my turn, and then we're gonna open it up. So I also think not only comprehensively from the public engagement point of view, but you can't really have that attractiveness or the economic development, the sustainability without the transportation component. So you want to look at all the mobility, the safe, equitable, affordable, easy to access transportation, not just by cars, not just, yeah, the EV market, the EV charging market, that's like a big deal right now.
Right. So one of the things, this is Peter, one of the things
Peter.
that we were talking about even 2 years ago was the notion that as we try and build up the corridor from the train station to downtown, that all of the businesses and the town contribute to a small electric circulator bus that just goes perhaps from Stony Hill loop back to downtown. And it could be funded right off the bat for a small bus. There's probably $35,000 in federal funding for it. And then the rest can be kicked in. And it just promotes get off the train and hop on a circulator. The other thing that really interests me is, since we're talking about education, is cleaning up the horrible old school buses we have. Even if it involves a repower to electric, which nowadays is half the price of a new school bus. New York City's taking 20-year-old school buses and turning them electric for $150,000 before incentives.
That's interesting.
Thank you, Peter. Those are really, really good points. Go ahead, Dion.
So I don't know how much time each one of you have spent on the Sustainable CT website. Honestly, you could spend days there. There's a lot of information. One thing that I've done is I have printed off, it's a copy of the overview worksheet. Honest to goodness, guys, I think that there's so much information here and there's so many opportunities to do so many different things. I think that we could get lost in the conversation of it to where we don't get much accomplished at all in these meetings. I think a really good idea. And from this point on, I'm the recording secretary, and I'm most of the time very quiet, and I will try to be that way and let you run the meeting. I just want you to know, there's a lot of information here. You might want to take an opportunity to go through this, kind of pick out what pulls at your heartstrings, what you think, and subcommittees might need to be discussed. And, you know, all of this can be discussed. But this gives you an idea of what is involved in sustainable CT, how you get the points, which in the end is going to help us get the grants and get the, you know,
Correct.
so you
Yeah,
might
no,
want to
that-
spend
that's-
some
yes.
time in
So,
this.
so when you look at that, yeah, and I have spent time on that, so that's a really good homework assignment for everybody, is to look at that and look at what other communities have done, because yeah, there are certain components of this, to be certified, and see what they've submitted, and like Matt said, Bethel's already done a whole bunch of that stuff, so that's already given points.
Where are the completed projects for Bethel?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Where is, like, what is done? How do we find out what is already done in Bethel? It's not in here.
No, it's not in there. What's,
I'll put more comment.
okay, Dion will put together a list for you. It's mostly in the energy area.
Well,
because-
I think it would be helpful though, because to Dion's point, so we can kind of stay on track. We don't need to recreate the wheel. All the projects are already in here. We
Yeah.
just need to pick which one we want to do and apply for,
Mhm.
and then apply it to Bethel,
Yes.
right? Because we still have to stay within this, the
Yeah.
overall committee framework.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think it would be helpful to cross-reference this with what Bethel has already done, which will help the committee eliminate, you know,
Mhm.
duplicating efforts. Yeah.
Right, so for the next meeting in the next 2 weeks, that's a very good point. Thank you, Tim, for bringing that up. I didn't realize this was here. Go through it and also spend some time on the sustainability committee, since the Sustainable Connecticut site, to see how to get those points and how to get certified, so you're familiar with that, because that's kind of the direction that we need to go. And then, you know, what is it that's really that you're passionate about? I mean, we can't do everything. There's no way. I mean, we could, but we'd be here for another 100 years. So let's figure out, let's do something that we can see quick results, you know, something that's, you know, immediate, short-term, midterm, long-term. So come up with a plan like that. So that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So let's try to do that. So, you know, I'm assuming there's some low hanging fruit, the stuff that's already done, so we put that in there. But there's some other low hanging fruit that we can say, okay, we can do this now. And all that big picture stuff that you and I like, we can put that in there, that's something that we're looking at.
So
But
I think you've got I
you know,
think your approach is
So
very
let's
good.
do that. Is that?
Accomplish
you guys? Good.
Accomplish something,
Well, you want to, yeah, you definitely want
and
to see
then
it.
we can, those like me who are philosophical about things, if you can stand it, you know, and
So
explore some of
I
it.
think,
Yeah.
so one of the low hanging fruits, although it's not really an accomplishment, we had discussed it the first time that the Sustainability Committee was talked about, was putting together a sustainable Bethel fair, whether it's with Food Truck Fridays or another event. We can have the heat pump folks, the solar folks, the light bulb people. I can have electric cars brought there for ride and drives. All of the stuff, the big picture, small picture, I can have electric school buses brought here. And it's a nice way to introduce to the town, hey, we're the Sustainable Bethel Committee, and this is some of the things we're offering right off the bat.
That's a really good idea. Here, let's talk about that a little. Why am I doing that? I can look at him. Nobody. I'm like looking, I'm turning my back. Because it's like all these, there's all these like, you know, monitors. That's a really good idea that we can put in our framework of immediate, short-term, midterm, long-term, and see where that fits in.
Yep.
And perhaps there's another event in Bethel
Mhm.
that we can partner with. So
Exactly.
we're not reinventing, because I mean, I actually have done a lot of events in my life, and they're a bit of a heavy lift. So if there's a way to partner with one of them, that would
Of
be
course.
really, really cool.
There are many opportunities.
Yeah,
to
so
do
that I
Yep.
think that's great, just to, to do something like that.
So would you like us to come up, each one of us to come up with an immediate, short, mid, and long term?
That would be really great. Yeah, and
For the
then,
next meeting?
we'll already see what, it's mostly in the energy area that Bethel's already done, so we already have points.
Can I just clarify something? There still is an energy commission and then there is us. No,
No.
that was absolved.
Yes, but
What
it's,
is this? Okay,
it's, the energy is gonna transition over to your,
gotcha.
yeah.
Bill, are you staying on with the new commission?
Oh, he's not allowed to leave.
Okay. Sorry, I missed the first 10 minutes, I wasn't sure.
He's part of the landscaping.
And Matt said he's permanent, he has no
He
choice.
was sitting there, so I wasn't quite sure. what to
Yes,
say.
he already volunteered to consult
Yeah.
on energy,
Yeah.
so.
I
Yeah,
have
so
the
that's
title
great.
next to him and everything.
What do the points mean?
Oh, you can, if you look through the website, for the way sustainable CT works is when you accomplish these certain goals, you get points. And and the municipality will achieve a bronze level or a silver level
I
or
see.
a gold level.
So these are points potentially, not that
Yes.
we've earned.
Yeah,
We haven't put them
Well,
in paper yet to.
really
to
see.
No,
submit
but I
them.
mean, these aren't things that Bethel's already done and earned.
no,
No.
These are things that we are eligible for,
correct,
kind of like Let's Make a Deal or one of those shows.
correct, yes,
Or things that we would like to accomplish.
yes.
Right.
And so again, looking at that low hanging fruit to say that the short term,
Right.
let's get something out there, and then we can take
Right.
that, and again, I'm kind of talking off the top of my head. We can take those things and show the public, look what we're doing, this is what we were
Right.
about.
Yeah.
And then engage the public that way. Oh, okay, they're already doing something, I already see it, and that's a
Yes.
way to get volunteers to also engage the
Yeah.
public. So think of it in those terms. The other bigger picture, which Matt and Deanna already mentioned, the points in having the certification is really, really important because it will open up possibility grant opportunities
Mhm.
for the town.
On that point, the last thing I wanted to cover before we adjourn tonight. I don't know if you were aware of this, but not in the current legislative session that just ended last week, but last year, 2021, Connecticut finally, after over 40 years, modernized its bottle bill. One other thing about me that you should know of, about 2 years ago, Katie Dykes, Commissioner of Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, called me up and convinced me, which wasn't hard, to co-chair a group called Connecticut Coalition for Sustainable Material Management. It's got a terrible title, can't do anything with it marketing wise, but this is I'm a co-chair along with First Selectwoman Laura Francis from the town of Durham and Katie herself. So the three of us chair this. We have over 90 municipalities that are now members of this. And we are a municipal-based lobbying group. So we have pushed through the bottle bill. It did have one compromise, which I'll talk about in a minute. This year, we were able to push through a stewardship program on gas cylinders. Don't know if you know this, but when people throw away gas cylinders, normally the big ones that you get to hook up to your grill at home are recyclable. You take them back and they refill them. So those aren't a problem, but the little ones that you buy for camping, there's up until this law was passed, which is going to be implemented over the next year, those things usually wound up in the trash because there's no place, we've got probably 200 or 300 of them up at our transfer station. There's no company that will come and pick them up. And what happens is if they get in the trash and they're not completely empty, they go through what's called a material sorting facility. And this thing, it's got big teeth and it grinds things up. And when those teeth hit that thing, they explode. We've seen videos where they've blown out an entire 20-foot wall of.
Wow.
And there've been some injuries, not serious, but yeah, but I mean, it has the potential to be deadly. So we were able, against heavy industry lobbying against it, we were able to convince the legislature to to put that, to pass that bill this year. We are still trying to get them to pass EPR, Enhanced Producer Responsibility on Packaging, which the United States in general is decades behind the rest of the world. Russia, for example, not a very popular country right now, but considering they have 11 time zones and they have millions of square miles of Siberian land where they could bury trash, they have more advanced recycling and EPR laws than we do.
It's shocking.
Which is
That
really,
is shocking.
yeah, we are not in a good place
Jeez.
as a nation, but as a state and as a region, we're working with this. So this is a long way of saying that in the bottle bill that the CCSMM group first worked on last year, we were able to get the deposit raised to 10 cents, which is proven across the country to boost the recycling rate back up to like the 80 to 90% range. We wanted the deposit on the little single serve alcohol,
Oh, the nips.
The
nips.
nips, yeah.
and the industry fought it, and the legislature got weak knees, and they capitulated. So we didn't get the deposit on it, but what we did get as a compromise is that every nip sold starting back in January has a 5-cent fee. And the 5-cent fee must go back to the municipality in which it was sold. So we got our first check of nip fees the other day in the amount of $7,647.
Great.
And the law is structured so that money has to be sequestered and can only be used for recycling material management. So it is potentially a funding source that this committee could tap for doing some of those things, like cleanup days or
That's great.
public education.
You'll be getting future payments as well?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we will get 2 payments per year.
Wow.
City of New Haven got something like 76,000.
Wow.
Heard that, yeah.
A lot of nips. A
Yeah.
lot of 5-cent nips. Wow.
Matt, as long as you brought it up, I use the transfer station. They happen to be a very nice bunch of people.
Yeah.
And very good.
Yeah.
What happens when I put that glass bottle in there? Is it
Oh.
really going to be?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
there are rumors sometimes that it goes somewhere and you never know whether we're actually recycling or not.
No, we were, excuse me, we were part of the original pilot on that. Another thing about me is that in my spare time, what little I have, but Deanne's laughing about this, along with my wife, I'm also chairman of HRRA, the Housatonic Resource Recovery Authority. So we put together a pilot program with 3 transfer stations, Bethel, Ridgefield, and Newtown, to segregate glass.
Right.
To see if consumers would be willing to take that extra step to segregate glass. And it can't be any glass. It has to be food grade glass only. So drinking glasses, mirrors, broken windows, can't do that. But your spaghetti sauce jars, pickle jars,
Wine bottles.
any kind of food grade glass goes in there. And yes, that is a very, very successful program.
That's good to know because there's always that doubt.
Yeah. No, people, this is really hard. People really do want to do the right thing. So, I mean, the minute we started that program, so anybody else use the transfer station? So you probably noticed
20
some months
years.
ago, the last thing is separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that thing started filling up right away.
Okay, what about the plastic?
We have very low contamination rate. So yes, people are very diligent about that.
Because there is certain plastic that they won't recycle.
Yeah. The material recovery facilities, otherwise known as MRFs, are pretty good. The technology is pretty good at separating out because there's always a little bit
Yeah.
of, they call it the contamination rate, you
Right.
know, things that get in there that shouldn't.
Right.
But it's pretty clean. Same with cardboard, same with newspapers. That's very clean. Our transfer station does a very good job. So yes, you can be assured that when you take the time to segregate your glass, it's.
I
going to
feel
the right
better
place.
already.
Yes. Okay, good.
Diana had a question.
I did, because you were mentioning the canisters, that you use for camping, and I know a lot of people will use those for home projects around the house and whatnot, but what about the fire extinguishers?
Oh, we
What
can,
about those canisters?
we can recycle those. You can recycle those for free at the transfer station.
Right, but those don't have any issue with the legislature, okay.
No.
Right.
No,
It's just the butane ones.
No, they're pretty safe. We have a vendor who picks those up and makes sure they're empty.
The fire extinguishers.
Yeah, the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, no, I was trying, so it's just the butane canisters that were
Yes.
an issue with the bill.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So sometime over the next year, there will be a product stewardship organization set up. The way it's gonna work is like with paint. Today, when you buy a gallon of paint anywhere in Connecticut, there's a, depending on what size can, either a 50 or 75 cent fee that's tacked onto it that pays for an association, which is a corporation that exists because of all these fees. That organization hires haulers to drive around to all the transfer stations and pick up the paint, and then they take it to a licensed hazardous material facility.
We actually, though, all of the paint stores, at least in Bethel and the area, will take the latex paint.
Yeah.
Most stains.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can put them at the transfer station anymore. They have to be.
Oh, no,
empty.
no, you can't. We put, well, actually paint, paint you, they'll hold it.
I think I agree, yeah.
Well,
can't.
HRA does, they do the monthly household hazardous waste drop-offs.
Yeah,
That's where the paint goes.
we can take them and just Bethel transfer station. So you can take them if the paint can is empty. So if there's a little bit of remnants in the bottom, any of the guys at the transfer station will tell people, put some kitty litter in it.
Yeah.
Leave it outside and let
Well-
it dry out. Then you can take that empty can. But
Yeah,
if there's any kind of liquid,
You can take it to Rings End, you can
you
take
can take it to any paint.
any of the
store in
paint
state.
stores.
Yeah, that will.
They
they'll
take 'em.
it, but not the
They may
transfer station.
limit it to like 6 cans at a time or something,
Yeah.
but they take it without any problem.
well, we have another household hazardous waste event coming up, I think, in 2 weeks, on Saturday.
Right.
They run typically monthly, HRA puts those together. They have the budget on that is something like $150,000.
At the high school, you're gonna do it again?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how important those are. for
That-
my
that's great.
clients,
Oh, yeah,
Because when they're moving and I had to tell them that everything has to go,
yeah,
they walk into their garage and they have like heart palpitations.
oh, yeah.
And I'm
We-
like,
we-
just go online and find, one of the events that you can, even if you have to drive to Newtown to do it, that's where you
Oh,
take
yeah.
all your stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we cover it in our budget so that Bethel residents can go to any of the household hazardous waste events in our region. And not all the towns do that, which is kind of a shame, but the people who live in those towns would have to pay if they go. But those are always free to Bethel residents. So there's the paint stewardship program. There's a stewardship program on electronics. You can drop electronics off at the transfer station for free, and mattresses.
Right.
There's a hauler that comes once a month and
Right.
picks up all the mattresses and box springs and takes them down to Bridgeport. So, but I'll, and I'm not gonna do it in the next meeting, but at some point when you're ready, Madam Chair, I can have the executive director of HRA come and
Yeah,
give you guys a little talk and tell you all the services that they offer and a little bit about the waste management business.
I think that would be really helpful. And then as we go forward with this, maybe we have someone that comes in and gives some type of mini presentation into the different areas that, the group wants to accomplish.
Mhm.
So, does anybody else have anything else?
What
I-
else?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's kind of more of a recommendation for, would it be possible if we had everything sent via email and
Oh,
then
yeah.
optionally printed or requested to print? I just think maybe as a sustainable committee, we should
Good
practice of some, so is that, I mean, I don't know if that has to be like voted on or anything.
No,
but-
we would do that anyway.
Okay,
Under, one of the other bills that passed 2 weeks ago at the end of the session was making remote and hybrid meetings permanent. So as part of the rules there, if you'll notice on your agenda, it says materials can be viewed at. You will get all your materials from Dion via email, and then the public can hit that link, and then they can see everything that you've got.
perfect.
So that's part of the program. So good suggestion.
Right, I love that you said that, because I'm always like, with other boards, I'm like, I can have copies of this and kill a tree, or you can just go ahead and look it up, so,
Right.
yeah. I did choose, I was gonna tell y'all, I actually did choose to print this off, and I printed it off in color, so
It's nice to have.
please keep
Yeah.
this, because I think it'll be really nice to be able to keep up with the points manually.
You get
And you
lost
get
in the
to
site.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I really do think that if you will, please keep up with it. I'm like, oh man, I'm even printing some color. Wow, they don't know what they're getting.
Don't
yeah.
tell Brad.
Yeah.
Brad's the top
I
role.
just wanted to add one, I guess, point, Matt, if you're working at the state level on initiatives, it might be good for us to also almost piggyback off of what you're doing.
Oh, sure,
For the town.
sure.
So we kind of feed off of each other. We could be sort of more the town for any new initiatives that we can use. Just about.
That's great. I think that makes a lot
I
of
would like
sense.
to propose that we have the sponsors of the Heatsmart Program, the PACE people. If at the next meeting or following that, they can come in and give you a formal presentation about what the whole program is about.
Do we need extra time for that, Bill? I don't know how long your presentation is.
I think presentation can be like 30 minutes.
Well, oh, yeah, well, let's talk about, because I think it makes sense to have people come in and explain things, but let's be sensitive of everybody's time, because we don't want to be here, it's 7 o'clock and now it's 8:15, so we want to be smart. So maybe if the presentation is 30 minutes typically, maybe we say, well, can you shorten that to 15 or something like that?
Yeah.
But we can come up with, and when you're going through all of this and thinking what you would like to accomplish, think about that. We can put together a list and a schedule. I mean, right now, we're kind of starting from ground zero. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna land and how to balance everything. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to do, but it's all good. So
Before we adjourn, I
Go ahead.
just, I sent an email out. I think I sent an email out yesterday with the Zoom link to the tutorial, what was that called? The coffee, the coffee break or
Oh, the
whatever.
coffee,
But,
tomorrow.
yeah, the Sustainable CT is doing
Oh,
a
that's right.
tutorial. Can't say that. Tutorial, I think at 11 o'clock tomorrow, 10 to 11. Today I sent out the link. If you will, go ahead and register if you think that's, after I got to thinking about it, it's like, they probably don't want me sharing the Zoom link. They want you to register so they know who all is
Oh,
a part of the meeting. So if you will, use that new email that I sent you with the
Oh,
link
okay,
on
I
it
see
to
it.
register.
And that's a statewide meeting. That's
It's a
just not for
statewide, and
Bethel.
it's just,
Right.
yeah, I think it's just a real quick Q&A to kind of get, it's probably gonna be good for all of us if I know it's a tough time, but if you can join to get an overview of.
I think this is a really good idea. Yeah.
And hopefully they'll record it, and if they do,
Oh,
then
they
I can
will.
share
They'll
that
record it.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll record it, because then they'll put it on their website and they'll
Exactly,
look at it.
yeah.
So if you can't make it,
Will the meeting on the 2nd be recorded?
We
record all
record
our
everything.
Oh, good. So I could access that even though I'm
Sure.
so.
meeting all the old.
So one other thing to think about when you're going through the list is we will have to, like Matt and Dion mentioned, that we will have to at some point create some subcommittees, because this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of us will not be able to just do everything, and we're gonna want to engage other people in some way, not next time, but something to think about. If something you're passionate about and you really think that should be part of this short, midterm and long-term program, then how do we get that done? So just to think about that. You're doing good, right? Thank you. Oh, well, motion to adjourn, right? I have to remember that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, motion.
Motion, second, I second first, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
everyone.
It's fine, but right now, we're kind of trying to figure things
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So
No, I get the
everybody's
picture.
gonna,
I think everybody's pretty open-minded about
Yeah, these are actually.
Yeah.
I think your
They go
idea
to you?
of accomplishing something
oh, yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense
Oh,
rather than just.
That's my municipal background. I learned something after 33 years.
Let me just make one offline reminder.
Oh, sure.
If anybody would like to help out on Heatsmart, then get a couple of people to do that, maybe split it up, just let Dion know.